In this video, we'll look at how to factor quadratics that have a common factor. And why I like to factor out a common factor is that it makes my numbers smaller when I go to factor the quadratic trinomial. So I'm going to look at this example here, which is 6x squared minus 30x plus 24. And I'm noticing that there's a factor of 6 in all three terms. So I'm going to factor out the 6, and I'm going to get x squared minus 5x plus 4. And so now that I've factored it out this way, I can look at this quadratic trinomial and use my box strategy to factor that. So I'm going to put my quadratic term in this spot and put my constant term over here. And then I'm going to multiply these two together, and I get 4x squared. And then I say what times what equals 4x squared. Well, they both have to be positive. So either 4x times 1x or 2x times 2x. But they could also both be negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So I could do negative 4x times negative 1x or negative 2x times negative 2x. And I'm recognizing that I want the pair of factors that will also add together to equal the negative 5x linear term. So this is the pair of factors that I'm going to be using. And I can put negative 4x in this spot and negative 1x down here. And now that I've done that, I can factor out of the top row my common factor of x, and then I can fill out the rest of the remaining parts. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. X times negative 1 is negative 1x, and then just to check, negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4. So I've factored my quadratic trinomial, and then what I want is I just want the final answer of this entire original quadratic trinomial. So it's going to be 6 times, and this is where I'm going to write my factors to represent this piece. It'll be x minus 1 times x minus 4. So that's my final answer. I've factored a quadratic trinomial by factoring out a GCF. And so I would encourage you to put the video on pause, grab a sheet of paper or a whiteboard, and factor this quadratic trinomial. And when you're ready, come on back and we can check. Okay, so the first thing I will do is factor out a 5. And then I'm going to realize that this is a trinomial that's comfortable for me to factor using the box strategy. And I'm going to think what times what is negative 12x squared. So one number has to be a negative and the other one has to be a positive. So maybe negative 4x times 3x. But that will not add together to equal my middle term. So how about negative 6x times 2x? Those two are almost right. I just need positive 4x. So I'm going to switch my signs, and I'm going to call this negative 2x times positive 6x. So that's the combination of factors that I want as the product of two terms that multiply together to equal negative 12x squared. So I'm going to go ahead and put my negative 2x here and my 6x here. And now I'm going to factor out of the top the x that can come out of the top row, and then fill out the whole rest of the box. X times what is x squared? X times what is negative 2x? X times what is 6x? And check, 6 times negative 2 gives me negative 12. So now I can write the fully factored form of my quadratic trinomial as x minus 2 times x plus 6 times the 5 that was the greatest common factor that I had factored out. So hopefully that is helpful.